What if everything you believed about the National Football League was built on a lie? What if the touchdowns you celebrated, the championships you defended in arguments with your friends, the dynasties you worshipped, were all tainted? Because here is the truth that the NFL does not want you to think about too deeply. Cheating is not some rare, isolated incident in professional football. It is woven into the fabric of the sport. From sticky substances smeared across gloves, to secretly deflated footballs, to coaches literally tripping opposing players on the sideline, to a league-wide cover-up so massive that it cost the NFL nearly $1 billion in settlement money. $1 billion, and that is not even the worst part. The worst part is what that cover-up did to the human beings who trusted the league with their bodies, their minds, and their futures. Today, we are counting down the 10 biggest cheating scandals ever exposed in NFL history. And I promise you this, by the time we reach number 1, you will never look at professional football the same way again. But first, I need 30 seconds of your time. This channel is brand new, and we are on a mission to become the ultimate destination for NFL history content on YouTube. The stories nobody else is brave enough to tell, the scandals, the secrets, the moments that shaped this league behind closed doors. And we cannot do it without you. If you are a real football fan, if you want the unfiltered truth about this sport, then I am asking you right now, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. It is free, it takes 1 second, and it tells YouTube to show this video to more people who love football just like you do. We are building something special here, and I want you to be part of it from the very beginning. Subscribe right now, and let us dive into the darkness. We begin at number 10 with a scandal that the NFL would rather you forget ever existed. Because for years, the league did not just tolerate cheating, it looked the other way while players did it right out in the open. We are talking about stickum, a thick, gooey, adhesive substance that players would smear all over their hands, their arms, and their jerseys to make catching the football almost impossible to fail at. And nobody, and I mean nobody, used stickum more shamelessly than Lester Hayes of the Oakland Raiders. In 1980, Hayes intercepted 13 passes. 13, a number so absurd that it has not been matched in over 4 decades. And his hands were so covered in stickum that the football would practically glue itself to his body. Receivers could not strip it away, quarterbacks could not avoid him. The man was playing with a cheat code activated, and everyone knew it. The NFL finally banned foreign substances in 1981, but here's the part that should bother you. They knew about it for years before that. They watched it happen, they let it influence games, seasons, and careers. And when they finally acted, there was no punishment, no asterisk, no accountability. They just quietly changed the rule and moved on, as if none of it ever happened. That is not justice. That is a cover-up with a rule change as a disguise. At number 9, we have a moment so brazen, so unbelievable, that if it had not been captured on live television, nobody would have believed it. November 28, 2013, Pittsburgh Steelers versus Baltimore Ravens. Thanksgiving night, the entire country is watching. Jacoby Jones of the Ravens fields a kickoff and breaks free down the sideline. He has open space. He has the angle. He is gone. Touchdown. Except for one problem. Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin is standing on the field. Not near the field, on the field, directly in Jacoby Jones's running path. And as Jones sprints past him, Tomlin does not move. He barely flinches. Jones has to stutter step to avoid a collision, and that split-second hesitation allows the Steelers' coverage team to catch up and make the tackle. A touchdown was stolen on national television by a head coach standing where he had absolutely no right to be standing. Tomlin was fined $100,000, and the Steelers lost a draft pick. But let us be honest, $100,000 to a man making millions is not a punishment. It is a parking ticket. And the smirk on Tomlin's face when it happened told you everything you needed to know. He knew exactly what he was doing. and he would do it again if he had to. Now, if Mike Tomlin's interference was subtle enough for some people to call it accidental, what happened in number 8 removes all doubt about intent. December 12, 2010, New York Jets versus Miami Dolphins. During a punt return, Dolphins cornerback Nolan Carroll is running down the sideline, staying in bounds, doing his job. And as he passes the Jets' bench area, a man steps forward and extends his knee directly into Carroll's path. Carroll goes down hard. The play is over. And the man who tripped him is not a player. He is not a coach. He is Sal Alosi, the Jets' strength and conditioning coach, a member of the staffs whose job has nothing to do with what happens on the field. He intentionally tripped an opposing player during a live play, on purpose, with cameras rolling. Alosi was immediately suspended and later resigned from the organization, but the footage lives forever. A grown man, employed by a professional football team, deliberately injuring an opponent by sticking his knee out like a schoolyard bully. It was cheap, it was dangerous, and it was one of the most disgraceful acts of cheating ever captured on an NFL sideline. At number 7, we move from the sideline to the stadium itself, because the Atlanta Falcons found a way to cheat that did not involve players, coaches, or sticky substances. They used speakers. For multiple seasons, the Falcons organization pumped artificial crowd noise into the Georgia Dome during opposing offensive possessions. Fake noise, manufactured sound, designed to disrupt visiting quarterbacks trying to call audibles, communicate with their offensive line, and read the defense. This was not a minor audio glitch. This was a deliberate, systematic operation to create a home field advantage that did not actually exist. The fans in the building thought the atmosphere was electric, the opposing teams thought the crowd was deafening, and the whole time it was coming from a sound system controlled by someone in a booth. When the NFL investigated and confirmed the violation, the Falcons were fined $350,000 and stripped of a draft pick. But the real damage was to the integrity of every single home game played in that stadium during the years the system was in operation. Every close play, every missed audible, every communication breakdown by a visiting team, all of it is now permanently under suspicion. The Falcons did not just cheat the opposing teams, they cheated their own fans into believing something that was never real. Number 6 is a scandal that doesn't get nearly enough attention, and it should make you furious. During the late 1990s, the Denver Broncos won back-to-back Super Bowls. John Elway finally got his ring. The city of Denver celebrated, the football world applauded. And behind the scenes, the Broncos were cheating the salary cap. The organization had been deferring payments to key players, hiding money in side deals, and circumventing the financial rules that every other team in the league was required to follow. This was not a gray area. This was deliberate financial manipulation designed to keep a roster together that the Broncos could not have legally afforded under the cap. When the league finally investigated, Denver was fined nearly $1 million and stripped of draft picks. But here's the question nobody wants to answer. If the Broncos were operating outside the salary cap rules during their championship years, does that mean those Super Bowl victories are tainted? Because every other team in the league had to make painful roster decisions to stay under the cap. They had to cut good players. They had to let stars walk in free agency. They had to play by the rules. And the Broncos did not. 2 Lombardi trophies, and the foundation they were built on was a lie. All right, we have reached the halfway point, and I need to warn you. The top 5 scandals on this list are on a completely different level. We are talking about coaches paying players to deliberately injure opponents. We are talking about the most controversial quarterback suspension in modern history. We are talking about a scandal so massive that it nearly brought down the legacy of the greatest dynasty the NFL has ever seen. And at number 1, we have something that goes far beyond cheating in a football game. Something that destroyed lives, destroyed minds, and exposed the NFL as an organization willing to hide the truth from the very people who sacrificed everything for it. If you are not subscribed yet, now is the moment. Hit that button. You do not want to miss what is coming. Let us go. Number 5, Bountygate. And this is where the word cheating stops feeling like a sports term and starts feeling like something criminal. Between 2009 and 2011, the New Orleans Saints defensive coaching staff, led by defensive coordinator Greg Williams, operated a bounty program, a cash for punishment system where players were financially rewarded for injuring opposing players. Not for big hits, not for great plays, for injuries. Specific, targeted, deliberate injuries. Knock a quarterback out of the game? Cash bonus. Send a running back to the sideline on a stretcher? Cash bonus. Cart off a star player? Bigger cash bonus. This was not aggressive football. This was a bounty system designed to weaponize violence for profit. And the targets were real human beings. Brett Favre was one of them. During the 2009 NFC Championship game, Favre was hit late, hit high, and hit low so many times that his body was practically destroyed by the end of the game. And every single one of those hits potentially had a price tag attached to it. When the NFL investigated, the punishment was severe. Head coach Sean Payton was suspended for the entire 2012 season. Greg Williams was suspended indefinitely. Players were fined and suspended. The organization was hit with a $500,000 fine and the loss of draft picks. But no punishment could undo the damage. Real players were targeted. Real injuries occurred. Real careers were shortened because a coaching staff decided that hurting people was worth a few extra dollars in an envelope. Number 4. And if you were alive and breathing during January of 2015, you already know exactly what I am about to say. Deflategate, the scandal that consumed the entire sports world for over a year. During the AFC Championship game between the New England Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts, officials discovered that multiple Patriots footballs were inflated below the league-mandated minimum of 12.5 pounds per square inch. Underinflated footballs are easier to grip, easier to throw, easier to catch, especially in cold, wet conditions. And the Patriots were winning by a margin so ridiculous that the football pressure probably did not even matter. But that was not the point. The point was that someone had tampered with the equipment. And the investigation, led by attorney Ted Wells, concluded that it was more probable than not that Tom Brady was at least generally aware of the deflation. More probable than not, generally aware. Those are not exactly the words of absolute certainty. And yet the consequences were enormous. Brady was suspended for 4 games. The Patriots were fined $1 million and stripped of 2 draft picks, including a first-rounder. Brady fought the suspension all the way to federal court. He lost, and the debate has raged ever since. Was it a legitimate rule violation, or was it a witch hunt against the most successful franchise in modern football? The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle, but one thing is certain. Deflategate permanently altered the conversation around Tom Brady's legacy. 6 Super Bowl rings, and there will always be someone in the room willing to whisper 2 words: deflated footballs. But Deflategate was not even the first time the Patriots found themselves at the center of a cheating scandal. Number 3, Spygate, the original sin of the Belichick dynasty. In September of 2007, the New England Patriots were caught illegally videotaping the defensive signals of the New York Jets from an unauthorized location on the sideline. A Patriots video assistant was physically removed from the field by NFL security with a camera that contained footage of Jets coaches signaling in plays. The NFL acted swiftly. Bill Belichick was fined $500,000, the largest individual fine in league history at that time. The Patriots organization was fined $250,000 and stripped of a first-round draft pick. And the NFL commissioner Roger Goodell ordered the destruction of all confiscated tapes. The destruction of the tapes. Let that sit with you for a moment. The evidence was destroyed. We will never know the full extent of what was on those recordings. We will never know how many games were affected. We will never know how far back the practice went. And that is what makes Spygate so insidious. It's not just about what was caught, it's about what was never revealed. The Patriots won 3 Super Bowls before Spygate was exposed. 3. And the question that will follow that dynasty to the grave is a simple one. How much did they know, and how long did they know it? Number 2 takes us to a scandal that shook an entire franchise to its core and exposed a culture of recklessness that the NFL could no longer ignore. In October of 2005, multiple members of the Minnesota Vikings were involved in a party aboard 2 chartered boats on Lake Minnetonka. What happened on those boats was so extreme, so far beyond the boundaries of acceptable behavior, that it resulted in criminal charges, league suspensions, and a firestorm of media coverage that humiliated the organization. Players were charged with misdemeanors, the league handed down fines and suspensions, and the Vikings, who had been considered legitimate Super Bowl contenders that season, completely collapsed. Their season fell apart, the locker room fractured, the public trust was shattered. Now, some will argue that this was not competitive cheating, and technically they are right. No rules about on-field play were violated, but the NFL has a conduct policy for a reason, and what the Loveboat scandal exposed was something far more troubling than a single rule violation. It exposed a culture, a mindset within certain corners of the league that believed the rules, all rules, simply did not apply to them. And when that mindset takes hold, it does not stay off the field, it bleeds into everything. The Loveboat scandal was not about football, it was about accountability. And for the Minnesota Vikings, it was a lesson learned in the most public, most painful way possible. And now, number one. And I want to be very clear about something before I begin. This is not a story about cheating in a football game. This is not about deflated footballs or stolen signals or fake crowd noise. This is a story about human lives, about brains, about the men who gave their bodies to this sport and were betrayed by the very organization they trusted. The NFL concussion scandal is the biggest, most devastating, most morally reprehensible cover-up in the history of professional sports. For decades, the National Football League knew, or at the very least had overwhelming evidence to suggest, that repeated head trauma sustained during football games and practices was causing catastrophic, irreversible brain damage in its players. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, a degenerative brain disease that causes memory loss, depression, aggression, confusion, and in far too many cases, suicide. And the NFL did not just ignore the evidence. According to lawsuits and investigations, the league actively worked to discredit the scientists who were sounding the alarm. They funded their own research committees that downplayed the risks. They told players it was safe to return to the field after concussions. They told the public that there was no proven link between football and long-term brain damage. And while they were saying all of that, former players were suffering. They were losing their memories. They were losing their ability to recognize their own families. They were falling into depression so deep that some of them took their own lives. Junior Seau, a 13-time Pro Bowler, one of the greatest linebackers in history, shot himself in the chest in 2012. When scientists examined his brain, they found severe CTE. Dave Duerson, Andre Waters, Mike Webster, the list goes on and on and on. In 2013, the NFL settled a class-action lawsuit brought by thousands of former players for $765 million. That number was later increased to over $1 billion. $1 billion. Not because the league admitted wrongdoing, but because the evidence was so overwhelming that fighting it any further would have been catastrophic for the brand. Let me say that again. The league paid over $1 billion and still never officially admitted that they knew. That is not a settlement. That is a confession wrapped in legal language. The NFL concussion scandal is not number one on this list because it is the most dramatic cheating scandal. It is number one because it is the most important. Because it was not about winning games. It was about protecting profits at the expense of human beings. Men who trusted the league with their health, their futures, and their lives. And the league looked the other way while their brains deteriorated. Every single scandal on this list involved someone trying to gain an unfair advantage. But this one involved an entire organization choosing money over the well-being of the people who made that money possible. And that is not cheating. That is betrayal of the highest order. So, there it is. 10 scandals that prove the NFL is not the clean, honorable institution it wants you to believe it is. From sticky gloves to deflated footballs to $1 billion settlement over broken brains. This league has secrets, and we are here to expose every single one of them. Now, I need to hear from you. Which scandal on this list shocked you the most? Which one do you think deserves more attention? And which scandals did I miss that should have made the list? Drop a comment right now and let us start a conversation because I read every single one. And listen, if this video opened your eyes, if it made you think, if it made you feel something real, then do me a favor, subscribe to this channel right now. We are growing fast, and every single video is going to go deeper, hit harder, and tell stories that no one else is willing to tell. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, share this video with every football fan you know, and I will see you in the next one, because we are just getting started, and the next story, it is going to be even bigger than this one.